On this week's video, we're going back into the action world, and if you had HBO in the 1980s, there was no way to avoid a movie called Kill and Kill Again, which was actually a sequel to a movie called Kill or Be Killed. And considering that the Monday videos are pretty much things that just I kind of wanted to watch, and I haven't seen either one of these movies since I was about 10 years old, I figured it's about time to give these a rewatch and see if they hold up to my childhood memories and if they have any sort of continuity. So let's go back to 1976 with Kill or Be Killed, also known as Karate Killer. It was from South Africa and actually wasn't released in the US until 1980, and you have to love this opening scene with the credits actually projected on the people. So there's this Nazi who walks around in full regalia and has a room full of memorabilia, and he's holding a karate competition. And one of the competitors is Steve Hunt, and it seems like he's being kept against his will. There's like no setup. Like, did he agree to the tournament knowing that the guy was a Nazi? Did von Rudloff just show up one day in the uniform? They say that they can't escape because they're surrounded by desert, but he has a car and there's like a bunch of the karate guys, so once they saw it was a Nazi, couldn't they just like beat him up and drive to get more transportation? Anyway, Steve has a girlfriend here too, I guess, and Rudloff has a little person sidekick named Chico.
Yes, he's strange, but I think I understand him. I'm happy here with the general.
If you ask me, he's a nutcase.
Well, he's a Nazi, so yeah. So the Baron is mad because of an Olympic loss in Berlin in '41, which is odd because the Olympics, they're always even years, and there was an Olympics in Berlin, but it was in 1936, not '41, but I guess in this film's universe it was different. One of the competitors from '41 is here, so we're not extensively past the real time frame. If this was real time '76, it's 35 years later, and if these guys were competing, they were probably in their early 20s, so they'd be mid-50s here. Chico is treated as a sympathetic character, but he willingly works for a Nazi, so no sympathy from me. This VW Bug has a South African version of a registration tag on its windshield that goes from 75 to 76, so I guess 76 works, and Steve escapes by making this cool little makeshift windsurfer. Unfortunately, his girlfriend is kidnapped, and man, I just love sound effects in martial arts movies. You know, growing up watching old martial arts movies really set us all up for disappointment once we learned what actual fights really sounded like. They recruit fighters from all over the world, but oddly, mostly white guys, but wait, one of them is named Wan Tai Hong, so he'll be Asian, right? Well, here's, Wan Tai Hong. Why even give him that name then? Just call him like Brad or something. Every single karate expert that they go to is white. Even this white guy with an afro, and even this school teacher. I guess that makes sense for the Nazi, but Miyagi's team is also super pale. The tournament begins, and hey, look, they do have a black guy. Still no Asians, though. The Baron's group takes a lead, and when Steve fights, for some reason, there's this sound effect. It's like the universe is saying, oops. The final face-off is Steve being forced to fight Olga to the death, but the fighters all rise up to fight back, and even though they're captured, they literally destroy concrete walls by kicking and punching them. And it's no wonder why these walls are hollow. I would ask for a dungeon refund if I were the Baron. But I would never be the Baron because I'm not not a freaking Nazi.
They then bend metal bars because they're probably hollow too, and I want to point out that not a lot happens in the first hour of this movie, but then the last 15 minutes they cram in a karate tournament, an uprising, everyone's captured, they all escape to have another uprising, and a final fight in the desert, and the Baron kills himself in a dramatic POV shot in which you, the viewer, basically shoots themselves, and I'm gonna have this footage in my brain every time I do an episode of How Bad It Could Be from now on. So either 1 year or 5 years later, depending upon what country you were in, a sequel was made called Kill and Kill Again, which gives us a martial arts awards ceremony and a trophy awarded to Steve. And this movie is the whole reason why I wanted to do this timeline. I haven't seen this movie in a whole lot of years, and I'm hoping it's as amazing as I remember. For some reason, Steve's last name is Chase instead of Hunt, so it's possible that this isn't a sequel after all. He's enlisted by Candy Kane here to help rescue her kidnapped father and stop a new drug lord, and he puts together a crew, including this guy from the first film, but he's now called The Fly. He says something about this time, implying that there was a last time, so I assume he means the first film. We also meet Gorilla, and I'm sure there's no implications in an apartheid-era South African film and a black character named Gorilla.
None at all.
There's also Gypsy Billy, also from the first film, who gets in a karate brawl at his shanty town because of, all the karate experts at those shanty towns. I can only assume these films take place in a weird alternate reality in which basically everyone knows some form of martial arts. Our bad guy is Marduk, whose beard is totally real, and his prime fighter is named the Optimus.
I'm sorry.
Who was also in the first film, but again, I think a different character? Marduk's lady friend is Minerva, and Steve's crew is completed by Hot Dog here, and the Fly can actually float in midair using magic. Pure magic. Not this lever that's visible right here. Steve can do it too, though, and Hot Dog calls Gorilla Captain Midnight, and then Steve tells Candy that she has to make them all breakfast. So yeah, this was the enlightened 80s. Also, Hot Dog's thing is that he takes people's cigars, dips them in alcohol, takes a puff off of them, and then gives them back while saying, "Hot dog."
In case you were wondering what Hot Dog's thing is.
Candy also happens to know karate, and man, I can't stop staring at Marduk's beard. Why did they go with this look for him? He sends fighters after Steve via parachute. Who thought this would be a good plan? There's no element of surprise, and your guys are all laden down with packs. The only reason they even had a chance at all is that Steve and his crew didn't have guns to just shoot them down as they dropped, and also didn't attack as they landed and were all strung up in their equipment. Their car tags again give us the date as they expire in 79, so that's most likely our year here, and after infiltrating, the crew is captured and forced to participate in a tournament. They win every round, and Steve defeats the Optimus, and Marduk is blown up in a helicopter. They save the doc with what might be the first on-screen use of bullet time, so I guess the Matrix owes a lot to Steve Chase. Dr. Kane, who looks kind of like a cross between George Lucas and Ben Kenobi here, is saved, and everything ties up nicely. The weird thing about this one is that I don't think it's a sequel. I think it's supposed to be, but I also think they forgot to tell anyone. There's actors from the first one, but they all seem to be different characters. People have different names. The events of this one are really similar to the events of the first one, but no one mentions the similarities. So if you only want to watch one, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. But even though I think that they're fun, I don't really blame you.
So there you have it. 2 movies that don't have a sense of continuity. I guess that if you don't want these to be sequels, then they're not. But if you do want them to be sequels, then yeah, I guess it's fine. I guess that those characters from the first movie are the characters returning for the second movie. It's just sort of weird relationships between them changed. I don't know. It's pretty bizarre. I really enjoyed watching these. They're kind of just fun old martial arts movies. I particularly like the second one. Obviously, this was a much earlier time, and some of the insensitivities of the film don't hold up, but it's still a rather fun movie, and a subject of its time and its location. South Africa was a pretty interesting place in the 80s. There was a lot going on over there, which obviously we're not going to get into in a comedy video about martial arts movies, but it was a very interesting time. I hope that you enjoyed this. I don't think a lot of people have seen these. If you have, let me know down in the comments. If you have fond memories of them, let me know. If you have some pretty negative memories of them, let me know as well too. I want to hear what people think of the Steve Hunt / Chase films. Let me know that down below in the comments, and share this video out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and check out my patrons over here. These guys help keep the channel going, and so can you by going to patreon.com/movietimelines and helping to support the channel. I would appreciate it, and I appreciate you just watching this video, so thank you very much for doing that as well. And I'll see you very shortly for another one. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.